and also Deputy Director of National Intelligence Kash Patel came on my radio show America First. And Kash Patel, who knows the swamp, well, he intimated that the raid may have something to do with the documents President Trump declassified, as is his right, with regards to Russian collusion and Crossfire Hurricane. President Trump wants it out all in the open. What's the latest? Let's talk to somebody who represents him, Lindsey Halligan, attorney to my former boss, President Trump. Welcome to Greg Kelly Reports.
Thank you for having me.
So the policy from Mar-a-Lago, from the Trump organization, from the 45th president is complete transparency. Release the affidavit, release the warrant, tell us why you were searching. Is that correct?
Right. Yep. And their lack of transparency is very telling. We want to review the affidavit for ourselves. They are very selective in terms of what they want out there, and we definitely want to know what they're claiming they have as evidence. So their withholding of information is essentially controlling the flow of information, and that is the first step to tyranny.
It truly is. How did it go down? Can you give us an insider's view of what happened at Mar-a-Lago? I've been there numerous times. It's beautiful, one of the most beautiful residences in the United States. I understand it was quite tense when the FBI thugs arrived armed. They refused to leave the warrant. They demanded for some reason, they demanded the security cameras be switched off. Are these reports true that it was rather an unpleasant experience for you and your colleagues and the staff at Mar-a-Lago?
Well, I arrived after they already started searching. So I think they started searching around 10 a.m. and I didn't arrive until about 11:30. So I wasn't there for any sort of scuffle that happened before. I can't speak to that. But when I arrived, I asked if I could go inside the property, and they told me no. And I asked why not, and they said you can come in when we're done. And I asked if I could stand in an area of the building that they're not searching, and they said no. So they had unfettered access to the property and did God knows what and looked at God knows what.
So they could have done whatever they wanted. Did they give you any reason, any justification why the security cameras would have to be switched off, Lindsay?
No, they didn't ask that to me specifically, but I am assuming that their argument would have something to do with protecting the identity of the agents. I'm not sure.
Yeah, which is a bit strange because there are certain countries in the world where federal police wear balaclavas and hide their badges. Those are authoritarian regimes. You have a right to know who is stopping you. You have the right to have their name and their badge number. The idea that they can hide and switch off the cameras. Will you share with us? I haven't spoken to the president since I was at Mar-a-Lago for the premiere of 2,000 Mules. How is his spirits in the last week? How's he doing?
He's just shocked by all of this. He doesn't understand it, and I can't speak about anything in particular in terms that would violate attorney-client privilege. But he is concerned that if this happened to him, a former president of the United States and a potential candidate for the next presidency, what's going to happen to you or me.
Yeah, that's the key point. Please give him our best and the former First Lady. The key point here is he's not just a former president. He is, I know he's going to announce imminently, he is the next candidate who will likely be the nominee for the opposition, for the Republican Party. So if this were happening in a Latin American country, if federal forces were being unleashed by the current administration to intimidate and search the home of the man who would be running against the current incumbent, we would call that a dictatorial regime. And you're right, Lindsay, that is the first step to tyranny. It's not about him, it's about all of us. It's about the 74 million Americans who voted for the 45th president of the United States and, God willing, the 47th.